Hello, and welcome to On Location. This edition, Robert Wagner and Stefanie Powers together. I'm your host, Fabie Combs. It was a delight to have Robert Wagner and Stefanie Powers, stars of the popular television series Heart to Heart, reunite. They co-starred in the wonderfully acclaimed drama Love Letters. The play was first performed in 1989 and has continued with various Hollywood actors. Robert and Stefanie did 8 performances at the beautiful, innovative, state-of-the-art Cerritos Center for the Performing Arts in the Los Angeles area. Love Letters is a unique 2-character drama documenting a man and woman's lifelong relationship as the couple reads their letters to each other. The audiences at the Cerritos Center gave standing ovations as Wagner and Powers played childhood friends who experience ill-fated romance. The 2 stars graciously took time from their busy schedules to chat with the aspiring acting students at the Lee Strasberg Theater in West Hollywood. We join them now.
Exactly, how did you get started? I got started as an extra. I had 2 choices. I could go to New York and get into a class and perhaps get a part in the theater, on the stage, and perhaps a talent scout would have seen me because I had a lot of people scouting in that time. It was in the late 40s. Or I could go to work as an extra and start to make the rounds in California to all the studios, because each studio had a contract list. And you were in the contract, and I had a little bit of a list. It was kind of going out.
Yeah, it was almost different.
But Columbia and MGM and Warner's and Fox all had these great schools and teachers, and you were available to everything. And I thought, living in California, and I just thought it was better for me. So I started to kick in and worked on a lot of pictures on one-day jobs because I got in the business and I thought that perhaps somebody would see me. If I got in front of the camera, somebody said, "Geez, look at that kid, he's great." Oh my God, that's true. He's the one we want, So I kept getting up in front of the camera all the time, and the extras would say, "Go right ahead, go right ahead, get up as close as you want." I didn't know that once you were established as an extra, you were out. So I did more one-day jobs than you can imagine. I see myself going by on television. I go, "Hey, there I am." So that's how I got started. As a matter of fact, I went back and observed at the Actor Studio in New York because I knew Kazan and.
When was it, Elizabeth?
When Marilyn, we were all in a contract. Marilyn Monroe and myself and a bunch of us were all in a contract together at Fox. And when the studio started, this was a real revolution. It was a whole different form of acting and everything else. And I went back there and observed and saw Mr. Strasberg. And he really went after somebody in the class when I was there. He really took them apart. And you've heard these legendary stories, And he would do that for a reason, because he was trying to stimulate some kind of an honest reaction from somebody, or really trying to get to what they were trying to do. But I was very taken back by that. That really frightened me, because it took a lot of guts, a lot of strength to get up in front of Lee Strasberg into the scene. I thought.
You guys can't afford to fail. That's why you need to keep this very much alive in your lives, because this is your playground. This is where you can dare to be bad, dare to take a chance, to risk finding out where it works better than others, while not staying too safe all the time. I think it's a very tough world right now. It's a much more different society. It's flavor of the month. You're hot, you're not. A sustained career is rare. Don't you find that? You're all going out on interviews and you're all meeting all the things and doing all the cold readings. You know what it's like out there.
I think that's very true too, Steph. When we started off, we could take a chance and get up and swing at it. You missed it so much because nobody knows what's going to be a hit in this business. You never do, thank God.
And all those people that set themselves up, I promise you, everybody was sitting in that big chair. 6 months later, there'll be another guy there. And he's probably just as unqualified as the guy who was sitting there before.
Scary.
If they knew, they wouldn't make famous. And now you're also dealing with a world where there's no more horizontal studio. It's a vertical business. You go into Columbia Pictures, and it looks like you're walking into Century City to a lawyer's office. You say, what were the sound stages? Whatever your impressions were of studios, I'm sure you were shocked and a little bit disappointed when you first went into them, weren't you? It's very different. The decisions are corporate decisions.
Yeah.
A director, I don't care how powerful he is, unless he's Steven Spielberg, has to go at Walt Disney Studio. You've got to go through the entire, you're the director of the picture, it's your baby, and you have to go through the entire corporate structure to get your cast list. You're not free to make a casting.
When you're in a hit movie, you're great. You're really good. Suddenly you're a great actor, you're a good actor. That's not necessarily true. As a matter of fact, it's not true. Suddenly you're judged on whether the success value of the picture rather than your work, and that's a very dangerous thing. I have a couple of daughters who are involved in wanting to act, and I know that they go and they get rejected, and they're very, they go for a reading or something, and they miss the part, and they're down and depressed, and I said, well, you're not judged on you have to know what your work is, because the man you go in to see or the woman you go in to see, they may not want you for that part. They don't see you for that part. That doesn't mean that you're not good. That doesn't mean that you don't have the ability.
If you have reverence for the work, and you have a kind of desire to make it your life's work, and I think that there are only 2 stages of an actor's career where they really get to enjoy their work, at the very beginning and when they're successful enough to choose. When they're somewhere in the middle, it's the least enjoyable, because you're making decisions for other reasons, strategic reasons, whether this is going to be, when you have nothing to lose, you can enjoy it and experiment and get the juice. When you've got a position of a bit of leverage, you can then enjoy it as well. Somewhere in the middle is a really tough part to be able to keep the flame alive and keep it exciting and different and challenge yourself.
Because I've read the play, but I've never seen it done. I don't know if, I'm wondering if it's, you do it from the first letters to, you do the whole play, right? From the first letters to the last one.
But I don't know what Stefanie is doing. And she doesn't know what I'm doing. Because we never deal with each other. I'm never looking, I'm sitting just the way I am right now with her on the stage. And I'm playing everything for the audience. And she does too. So I'm not looking into her eyes. I can't move around. I can't do any, I can do body behavior, as a kid and sit there, do all that. And I don't know what she does. I can't see her. I don't look at her. No props. It's, and go from 6 to 65, 70 years old.
But also
Interesting.
through the world that starts in 1937, which is also a different world.
And what's fantastic is the audience. I mean, that's the thing, And sometimes we all forget about that, boy, how important they are. Because once we get them incorporated and they start to get with us, it's such a wonderful, wonderful sensation. And allowing them to have the moments, not for us to enjoy it too much, but for them to.
Such a nice pleasure to be with you today, Stefanie, and I'd like to find out a little bit of background about your career and let the people at home know a little bit about where you started. I know you started at age 15, about wanting to be a ballet dancer.
Oh, yeah, I was in a ballet company, and when I got very tall, so I was studying at the American School of Dance with Eugene Loring's program was on Hollywood Boulevard. It's not there anymore. The building was torn down. There's a great big huge cinema complex there. It was a beautiful white Victorian, I think it was, a hotel, residential hotel, and in the basement down below was this great dance studio, the American School of Dance, and mathematics, this fabulous teacher who taught jazz. And of course, all the girls were in love with him. He's a sensational dancer. And I see him every once in a while. He lives in Paris and he still teaches. And,
great. How long did you study there?
I studied there for about 3 years, I think it was. And then I went on audition for West Side Story with a girlfriend of mine. And we would go on all these dance auditions just for fun. And we went on audition for West Side Story. And
your love really is in plays, isn't it? I know work is work, but I think that's one of your loves anyway.
I love the musical theater. I do love the musical theater, and about a year and a half ago, I had the great pleasure of doing an original musical that ran for 5 months in the West End in London, which of course is also a great pleasure because the British theater is sort of, you know, a kind of mecca for for actors, and I was absolutely overwhelmed that they would open the door to me and be quite as generous as they were.
And you're very active even now. You do a lot in London.
Yes, I do.
That's great. Now tell us about how you got started with Heart to Heart. I know a lot of people would recognize
Heart to Heart?
Jennifer Hart, the journalist that fell in love with Jonathan.
Yeah, easy to do, huh?
Yes, really.
Let's see. I was doing a play at the time with Stacy Keach. We were doing Cyrano de Bergerac, and we were going to go to Broadway. We were doing it here and in San Francisco, and we were waiting to go to Broadway during what was imminent at the time, which was a newspaper strike, which actually did happen. And everything that was opening was closing. And so the Nederlanders who were going to bring us into New York felt we were a big risk because we were a large company, and it was quite a production to bring in. In the meantime, I'd been approached by RJ and Aaron Spelling.
RJ
Robert
being,
Wagner.
Yes, for those that aren't familiar with that.
And Aaron Spelling, who said, look, we've got this idea to do this new show, and our great friend Tom Mankiewicz had written it and was going to direct it. And Tom was a great screenwriter, and we all knew that Tom should be a director anyway, and this was a perfect opportunity for him to, we could all work together and it would be wonderful. And when it looked, I thought, oh, well, I'm not going to be able to do this because we're going to Broadway, and I was committed and all this. And then the newspaper strike happened, we didn't go to Broadway, and I was able to do the pilot of Heart to Heart.
Now, when did the pilot start? What year was that?
But I must finish by saying, if it weren't for the champions that I had, namely Mr. Wagner, I wouldn't have done Heart to Heart because ABC didn't want me.
Really?
I was not there.
And now you don't want them? How does that work? Turnabout's fair play?
I don't know.
And that ran for 5 years?
That ran for 5 years.
Wow. A lot of good memories.
Excellent memories.
Great series. Now, is that your real life off stage? The great big mansion and money galore.
I miss the jet.
Yes.
Miss the jet.
Isn't that marvelous?
Marvelous. Now I just have to go on British Airways.
The great dog Freeway that you had to play, that I understand was 6 years old on the first one?
Freeway was a wonderful guy. What a great dog he was. Charlie was his real name, and he was a pound person. He had been at the Pound, and he had been rescued by a trainer who thought that he had a little bit of character in his face that might be good on screen. Fortunately for us, he was rescued. He didn't wind up as some of the others do, you know.
Sure.
Unfortunately.
Sure.
And it's another good reason to go to the Pound.
Now, you've done a lot of plays in between and movies. Expound on some of those that you've done so that people would realize that you have gone further than Heart to Heart besides your other career in
since
Europe.
Heart to Heart, during the 5 years of Heart to Heart, I did only one other job in between, and that was That was a movie which I actually wrote and co-authored the script and co-produced it.
Oh, exciting.
It was a film called Family Secrets, and it starred Maureen Stapleton,
Yes.
Melissa Gilbert, and myself.
Great.
And it was a story of about 3 generations of women. Over a weekend, the father has died, my father has died, Maureen's husband, Melissa's grandfather, and we are there on the weekend packing up my mother's house. And by virtue of packing up 40 years of life, all these things come out and rise to the surface that might normally, in families. And also the women's relationships are rather touchy.
Are you still doing writing? Are you still involved in that?
Right now yes, I am, but not actually in dramatic. I'm involved in helping to create a series of 12 documentaries, which we'll be filming for French television.
Great.
In 3 languages on wildlife and conservation, paralleling the history of man and history of wildlife.
Not to finish what you were saying, but to go back to Heart to Heart, I know you're going to be making a made-for-television series.
We're going to be making 4 2-hour movies of Heart to Heart.
Ah, great.
Going on air. The first air date, I believe, is November 5th.
Wonderful.
So we'll begin filming sometime in August.
And do you expect to take off from where you left Heart to Heart, or are we going to go back when the 2 of you met?
Tune in
I have
to
to tune
find
in.
out.
You mean I can't get an inside story here before everybody out there? We won't tell them. Okay. Now, a little side note. What kind of hobbies do you like to do besides your acting, which I know you love? Do you have a particular hobby besides your animal conservation I know you're heavily involved with?
I don't have much time for hobbies. There is one sport which I enjoy very much, and that's polo.
Really?
I love
Wonderful.
playing polo. I love the horses. I love the game. It's a very demanding sport, and I don't play it nearly as well as I'd like to. But it's a brilliant sport, and at all times you are seeing 8 Olympic athletes out on that field, and I mean the 4-legged ones, not the 2-legged ones.
Do you have your own ponies?
I have a few ponies. Yes.
Wonderful.
In fact, I have quite a lot of horses. I'm very well horsed.
Well horsed. We're going to have your leading man join you in just a moment, and we'll wait for a moment and have him come and join us.
Great.
Robert Wagner, how nice of you to be on my show today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
We have such a vast array of talents that you do and things that you've done, and the people have heard about them, but maybe you can expound to someone that has been in the closet for years and didn't know how you started out.
Whoops.
And, kind of away from TV and away from the media and didn't hear about what you've done and what have you.
You mean about how I got started in the picture business?
Yes, before you were going to go into the steel business.
Oh my God, are you...
Stephanie's off camera, but she's making all kinds of little remarks and things over here. Sound
it would
effects.
take a long time, to go through all of that.
Yeah, but just kind of condense it.
I've been in this business all my life.
Yes.
But it's been wonderful to me and to my family, and the public has been absolutely so
without them
gracious toward me,
Yeah.
and I want to thank you for that.
Great.
I started off as an extra. My father wanted me to go to school, and I'd been scholarship to SC, and I chose to go to work, and I started to work as an extra, and then I got under contract to a major studio, and they sort of took me off the streets and groomed me and trained me and put me in movies, and I'd always wanted to be an actor, and I always wanted to be in the motion picture business. And
so there's hope for those that have the same idea?
I was really very lucky because I chose something and went for it and did it.
I heard you even climb the walls of the studios to get inside to see what was going on.
Yes, I did, yeah. I climbed
Persistent.
over the walls and
Persistency
watched
does
the
pay
way
off
they made
sometimes.
Pictures,
Yes.
I was just, when I was a kid, I spent all my time in the movies. I just looked at all the pictures.
Really?
And thought, oh, that was the best, yeah. And then when I was in school, I was in Little Theater, and people were saying, why don't you be in the picture business and all that sort of thing. So.
Handsome guy like you, I can't imagine why they would say that.
I was very, well, thank
Can
you
you,
very
Stephanie?
much. There were a lot of young actors around, as there are always,
Right.
and so got lucky.
And then that big start that you got with the Susan Hayward film.
Yeah, that was a big break for me when I played a shell-shocked soldier.
Easy for you to say.
In a film called With a Song in My Heart with Susan Hayward, where
I
she
loved
played
it.
Jane Froman. Yeah.
One of my favorite actresses.
The thing that I told
besides.
this class today was that, referred to, was that It was a very, very big opportunity for me, but
Yes.
also the picture was a tremendous success, and
Yes.
they believed Susan so much playing this woman, and
She was
such
great.
a great force. Yeah, this Jane Drummond was a great force, and Susan Hayward was a marvelous lady, and she was very gracious and very generous to me, and the man who directed it, Walter Lang, took great care, and the man who edited it, Watson Webb, was very generous to use just the right moments of me, and so it was a good break.
As I asked Stefanie, getting away from your career a little bit, what kind of hobbies do you have that maybe you can share?
Well, I have a ranch.
Uh-huh.
I raise hay.
You raise hay?
I took 110 tons of hay off our farm
Oh,
last
wow.
year, yeah.
Well, my dad has a cattle ranch. Maybe we can
Whereabouts?
collaborate here and get some of your hay to our cattle.
I raise cattle too. I have
Oh, do
some
you?
Brahma cattle, yeah.
Down in the Palomar Mountains
Oh, I know,
area.
yes, I know where that is.
Wonderful.
And I also raise quarter horses that are cutting horses. And
Well, you and Stefanie correlate them with your horsemanship, with
Well,
her with
yeah.
polo and
Yeah, a little bit.
you with Western.
yeah, and she's very, very intelligent and very well equipped, and she knows a lot about animals.
Wonderful.
So
great.
when one of my horses gets sick, I can always call her up and say, listen, Stefanie, what can I do? It saves me a fortune in vet bills.
And now that the animal conservationist that she is, she can tell you how to do it and what to do and where to take them. And
Very knowledgeable lady.
Wonderful.
And also, I've had a great experience with her because since we've been doing the play, we've traveled all over the United States, and every city we go into, we usually visit a zoo.
Really?
And Steph knows most of the people, if not all of them, in most of the
Wow.
the zoos in the United States.
Terrific.
And in Europe. So I've met a great many people, and have, as a matter of fact, I've been asked to be on the board, and I am on the board of the Cincinnati Zoo.
Whoa.
So, and I've learned a lot through her with a lot of these endangered species, and how special all these creatures are to all of us.
That's great. It's a good cause. Can you tell us now, and joining both of you together here, about Love Letters, this terrific play that you're both involved in?
Are you still awake?
Yeah, she's here. She's waiting for her cue. You're on. Okay. I know that
It's a wonderful piece. and
this
we
has
have a
been going
privilege
on
to play.
since 1989.
We've been
started.
associated with this piece now for about 3 years.
Is that right?
1990, yes. We opened
Wow.
April 1st in Boston.
And how many cities and areas have you played?
37 cities, and we've done close to 250 performances.
My. And it's
But
a 2-hour
It's an
play.
extraordinary piece insofar as it's the story of these two people, beginning in 1937 at age 7, going throughout their lives as witnessed through their letters.
Yes, it's a wonderful play.
And because the audience has no distractions, and we have no aids, we have no set, we
I
have
know.
no costumes, no scene changes, and no movement.
That would be totally frightening to me. I mean, there's nothing that you can associate with. It's just you and the letters.
the audience
You can't
is-
even look at each other. I mean, when I watch the play, you're not even looking at each other. It's just totally into these letters. It's remarkable. What a study.
But believe me, I really feel that she's there every moment, you know.
You do.
You can just sense it, you know, just
Wonderful.
the connection is there. It's a wonderful piece to be able to do. It's a real pleasure for us, and it's something that was kind of thrown our way that we never expected, of course, to happen, and
It's a real gift.
yeah, it has been a gift.
You know, getting back to a little bit of your career too, a moment when you were in the Made for Television, I believe, with Elizabeth Taylor. There's Got to Be a Pony.
There must be a
There
pony.
must be a pony. That was great. Great
thank
bit
you
of
very much.
acting. Really enjoyed that. I think you co-produced that, didn't you?
Yes, I produced it.
Yes, it was wonderful.
Thank you
and I
very
know
much.
you've
She
been
was
in.
wonderful in that piece. I
Yes,
thought.
she was. Very good. Now the play, you're going to go from here where? Are you taking it elsewhere?
We go from here to Houston.
Right,
We
Texas,
play a
that's
week
right.
there, and then we go to Portland.
And do a little fly fishing.
Yeah.
Oh.
A little fly fishing, a little golfing in between shows. huh?
yes.
I know the class you're
I'd
mentioning.
like to get her on the golf course.
Is that right?
Tell you, this girl
She a good
can
golfer?
yeah, well, she can most anything. you know.
Really?
She's got great hand-eye coordination, particularly playing polo.
Really?
But she's got a terrific golf swing and can really hit it. you know.
I would imagine after playing polo.
Yeah, she can hit it.
Goodness gracious. Very multi-talented. A lot of things that people don't know about at home, just from seeing you on the screen of your private lives, the things that you do that are very accomplished.
Well, you know, I tell you, it's, I think one of the things that we've both been very fortunate, we believe a lot in keeping that light on off stage.
Important.
I think that's important, to keep that going. So, and Steph has a lot of interests, and so do I, and I think that helps us a lot, because we have another
I think
life
it's a
besides
must.
just the theater, but we can also bring that to what we do, and I think it's important. We've been fortunate with that.
Do your families get together then off stage?
Well,
Since
yes.
you've done so much together for so long?
We have a little distance problem.
Oh.
Our geography is a little bit.
But when you're in town with one another?
Yeah, but Steph, lives in Europe, and I live here, but we're there.
We're there. I would like to see you more on some of the talk shows and such on television, but I guess the time is of essence when you're doing plays and you're in Europe on another continent, trying to coordinate it all. I'm sure you're asked many times.
Yeah, we are. We're asked a lot to go on there, but I probably will be on a few when we start doing. We're going to do Heart to Heart again. I guess Stephanie told
Yes,
you that.
she
and
did.
We're doing
That's
4
great.
2-hour movies.
I know everyone will really be happy to see that come back.
Yeah, particularly us.
Why not?
So we're looking forward to doing that, and I'm sure that we'll be on a few of the major talk shows, promoting the show. I sort of hate to go on those shows unless I really have something to talk about.
Or primarily the shows are for promotion.
Right.
And we don't come from the school of self-promotion in terms of, I think I speak for both of us. I'm really not interested in, we're not comedians or, the sort of personalities that go on to, that,
A little dance.
and so unless we have something that is, we're desirous of promoting, it sort of doesn't behoove us to go on.
Right.
I used to
Now-
bring all kinds of animals on the Arsenio Hall
You
show.
were the Miss Jack Hanna.
The zoo lady, Miss Zoo. What kind of an animal are we going to see
Weird
today?
animals.
I'm going to put you on the spot now. I know in your early days you did impressions. And I know Clark Gable was one that you did.
Oh, no, I'm not going to do
Can you do a Clark? You don't want to do a Clark Gable?
it. He was wonderful, though. That's sort of how I got in the picture business. I used to caddy for him when I was a kid.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I used to wait for him and take his golf bag. And he was great to me. He took me to MGM, helped me get started.
Wonderful.
Yeah, he
Neat
was
man.
great.
Neat
He was
man.
really a wonderful person. I'm very, very fortunate to have been able to have met him
Sure.
as a young man,
Well, we're going to look forward to follow both of your careers, and those that haven't seen Love Letters might be able to catch it in their area. And I'd like to compliment you both because I'm very impressed with how both of you are so articulate in the way you express yourself and the wonderful craft that God's given you. I think it's terrific.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
It's
you.
been a pleasure.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Pleasure. Whoops. wrong
Whoop. Thank you.
Thanks.
We've had a wonderful time here at the Lee Strasberg Theater in West Hollywood, interviewing Robert Wagner and Stefanie Powers. We've learned about their background, their early days of show business, theater, the things that they like to do, and also Love Letters, the play. This is Fabie Combs saying, hope to see you on location.